Well, today's conversation may challenge everything you thought you knew about healing, mindset, and human potential. Is microdosing psychedelics a dangerous shortcut, an untapped therapeutic tool, or simply a mirror exposing the parts of ourselves we've been avoiding? Today, we sit down with Alicia Vera Garcia. We've been looking forward to this to explore the science, psychology, and controversy and the deeper meaning behind one of the fastest growing movements in modern wellness. Welcome to the show, Alicia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Spencer, Dr. Terry. I feel so honored to be invited by you.
Well, first, where are you broadcasting from? You are where now? What
I'm in
location?
Amsterdam, the Netherlands, Europe.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, first, want to start out by asking you, for someone completely new to this world of microdosing, when people hear that word, they often imagine hallucinations or recreational drug use, but especially here in South Florida, right? Scientifically, though, and psychologically and practically, what is microdosing? What does it actually mean to you and the public?
Well, we refer to microdosing as the practice where you take very low doses of a psychedelic. For example, magic mushrooms. This could also be the case with ayahuasca. And these are such low quantities. It's called a subperceptual dose. So you don't get to experience those psychoactive effects, but you do get the benefits from microdosing with it.
Hmm. So, what's actually happening in the brain and in the nervous system? Are these behavior patterns? Can you tell the difference? Can you feel it? Is it explain a little bit more detail because people that we are aware of, from entrepreneurs to trauma survivors, they're all exploring that. So, what are they feeling?
Well, this could be very personal, what you are feeling. And yeah, how does it work? Well, a few things happen because they bind to the serotonin receptors. Psychedelics bind to the serotonin receptors, and they can act like a natural enhancer for your mood. So that's one of the many things it can do, but it's very subtle, very subtle. When you take a microdosing, you can see it as a vitamin with extra benefits. It's that subtle, but yeah, you do notice effects. And like I said, it's very personal, but it can be for, you can use it for a better mood, for more creativity, productivity, for more awareness about behavioral patterns, your emotions, your thoughts. So it has a wide range of effects, and it's not like one size fits all. And you take it, and it's like a paracetamol. You take a pill, and then it has a direct effect. It really depends also on your intention with it. So it's not only the psychedelic you are taking, but it depends on the setting, your intention, and also your own work, what you do with it. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well.
No, you are. I just have questions on top of that because I'm trying to imagine, our average listener thinking, what if you're in a not so wonderful mood? What if you're in a bad mood and you do a microdose? Does it become m- bigger and bolder, or is it something that you need to be guided to maintain or transition to a better mood than being in a bad mood?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Well, first of all, you will need to find your own personal dose, your optimum dose, and this is very personal because some people are more sensitive than other people. So you need to make sure that it's your dose, and if you are on your dose, so in general, it will improve your mood. But it also depends on the mindset when you are taking it. So in general, if you are in your sweet spot, the chances are very high that you will be in a better mood, you will experience more flow, and you can connect more with your own emotions. But when people overdose, what happens is the opposite. And then indeed, certain emotions and feelings can get amplified.
Does
Yeah.
someone, I mean, does someone just start taking a microdose, or is it something that you would need to be trained on how to manage your emotions prior to the dose or what have you? I mean, is it something that like you yourself, are you a facilitator of that?
I am. I am a facilitator. I'm also a psychosocial therapist. So I also have tools like ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, voice dialogue. Yeah, and people can start by themselves. You can, well, here in Europe, you can buy it online. Truffles are legal here in the Netherlands. And so you can buy it yourself. But if it's new to you and you're not doing it out of curiosity, but because of a condition or something you would like to address, then I really recommend some guidance from a professional.
I have a
So
quick question because you said how do you have to have the person find their dose. How do you find their dose? What does that mean? Because like you just said, Amsterdam is known for you can order anything you want. So if somebody wants to order something, how do they know what they need and they don't have the more is better attitude?
Yeah, well, that's where people like me come in, and yeah, we as facilitators or practitioners, we can help you find out what the most appropriate substance would be for your intention. We screen you, we do a thorough screening if microdosing is safe for you and also in this moment in your life. So we go through different substances. We choose a substance, but we also help you with finding your protocol, finding this optimum dose. And how do we do that? How does this work? Well, this is one of the most asked questions about microdosing from clients as well. And in theory, it's very simple. But in the practice, this can become a little bit complicated because it's that subtle. So in theory, it's very simple. If you don't feel anything, you go up in dose, and it depends on the substance what you add. And you keep adding up until you come to a certain point where you feel the effects very subtle. And this is different for everybody, but in general, people say I feel more in the flow, more at ease. And I recommend people, if you find that dose, to stay on that dose for several days, but then try out a higher dose. So go over the edge just a little bit to know for sure. And when you are overdosing, instead of the microdosing giving you the benefits, you will start experiencing challenges. So stronger, not so pleasant emotions like anxiety. Um, Sometimes also more depression, irritability is a clear sign that you are overdosing. And also, instead of giving the microdosing that gives you focus or mental clarity, it will give you the opposite. So um, that sharpness in your head or problems with speech, not difficulties finding your words, for example. So these are clear signs, but it's that subtle that people can't always tell. Am I in a good mood because of the weather, the sun is shining, or I'm doing fun activities, or is it because of the microdosing? So this process costs time, several weeks, up to 4 weeks. And then you have figured it out more or less with also the help of a professional.
Can you, does Could someone plateau in their dosing and then you suggest that they go up a little bit, but if they've already gone up in their dose, is it a good idea to maybe take a week off or a day or a month or something like that so their body desensitizes? Is that
Yeah, yeah,
suggested? Yeah.
that's indeed suggested. With microdosing, it depends on the substance, but with most substances, you don't microdose every day. You have a protocol, and it's always recommended between cycles to pause for several weeks. And this is to prevent tolerance, but also because it's a good idea after a cycle to stop, reflect, and integrate what the microdosing has been showing you. And also for safety reasons, because we don't know from studies. There hasn't been a lot of research done on this. There might be some indications that that's not healthy for your, it's for your heart, because we also have serotonin receptors there, that it's not healthy to microdose the whole time. So it's for safety reasons as well.
What's a cycle like? Like, is it a week cycle? I mean, a month long cycle? What is it that you typically suggest that you refer to as a cycle?
It depends on the substance and the protocol. And normally it will be between 4 up to 10 weeks. And then you pause for several weeks. And if you want to continue, you can pick it up again. Yeah.
So let me ask you, because microdosing, psychedelics, psilocybin, the mushrooms and all that, all the way to now the big hype is peptides. I mean, where do you as a practitioner, as a wellness practitioner, draw the line, whether it's a healing tool or something for spiritual reasons, or is it just social media hype? Because now you get all the people that have no idea what to do. they're all on social media hyping everything.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is one of the most difficult parts of my work because it's being hyped a lot, and a lot of promises being made or claims, a lot of research being done, which I really encourage. Only people read about it and have high expectations about microdosing, and they read all those miracles happening with microdosing, and this could be the case indeed. But more often, it's a messy process more often, and it's not like it will guarantee you healing or it will guarantee you certain outcomes. And this is the most difficult part of my job, to manage expectations. And yeah, it's often a matter of people starting microdosing because they have certain conditions or things they want to improve. And they are being so focused on a certain result. And sometimes microdosing is so subtle and mysterious that it comes through different ways. And then I see it as my responsibility and my role to manage those expectations, and also to help people stay open for the experience. Uh, Stay open with an open mindset. And microdosing works best not through the cognitive layer, but it needs another entrance, an entrance in our heart, in our bodies. And this is really different than we are used to.
So let me just be clear on microdosing in your specialty. Is it only psilocybin, or is there other is it other other than the mushrooms, or is there something else that you would suggest as microdosing you as a professional?
Yes, well, I work with different substances. I work with psilocybin from truffles, with 1P LSD. That's an analog from LSD. Capi from ayahuasca, and I recently started working with Amanita muscaria. I don't know if it rings a bell.
Explain that one.
No. Uh, when I say it's the red mushroom with the white dots, then you probably know what mushroom I'm talking about.
Interesting. Why is that
Yeah.
different from the typical one, or the one that most people are familiar with?
Yeah, wow. Well, I could do a whole podcast only on this mushroom. It's a really interesting mushroom and very different from the other ones. Well, the Amanita, it binds to the GABA receptors, not directly to the serotonin receptors. So this is very different from other magic mushrooms. GABA is known for regulating your nervous system. And what I find really interesting with this mushroom, and until recently, I bought these stories about Amanita being toxic, Amanita being deadly. So that's why it took me so long to try the Amanita. And this is not true. It's not deadly, but you need to know how to work with this mushroom. But it's very interesting because this is, as far as I know, this is the only microdosing substance that works that directly for chronic pain, chronic illnesses like fibromyalgia, nerve pain. And this I found very interesting because I was also working with clients with these illnesses. And the other substances, I found that they were not that effective. And that's why I started exploring this. It's also a really beautiful mushroom to see. And it's also known from the tale of Alice in Wonderland. So I really feel connected to this mushroom because of my name.
That's right.
There
Yeah,
you
very
go.
good. So, all right, let me ask you, a patient comes in, or a person or patient comes into your office, and what are you asking them? They want to do microdosing. What are you asking them, and how are you determining the plan? What you're going to suggest to them, what you're going to tell them, and then if you could also comment on, I understand that you also blend in this ACT therapy, acceptance and commitment there. I think that's really important as a cognitive behavior therapy. So if you can kind of share an experience, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, it's not that clients walk into my office. It starts with the first moment of contact when they reach out to me through mail or WhatsApp or whatever. And that's where our journey already starts. Whether they continue with me for the microdosing, but this is already some kind of energetical exchange, and the first contact already gives me information about them. So if there's a match, I also do a screening beforehand because it's not for everybody. I think it's safe for most people. But I do a thorough screening. So, and if we decide to work with each other, then the first session is always about the practical aspects about microdosing. So I send them an intake form. And during the first session, I ask them about their personal situation, conditions, their intention, and one of the questions that gives me the most information about possible substance is their intention. What do they want to achieve with the microdosing? What do they need help for? But it's not like one substance is, for example, good for ADHD or for depression or anxiety. These could be several substances, but it really depends on the client, what it wants to achieve. Sometimes it seems like it's pretty clear, oh, I want more energy. But when you start asking questions about their intention, it consists of different layers.
Very, very interesting. You mentioned ADHD. I think that's fantastic because I would have never thought that. And unfortunately, in the United States, there are so many kids, excuse me, adults as well on Adderall, on all the ADHD medications. So if somebody has ADHD, what are you talking to? How are you?
Yeah. Well, I don't like to put any labels or put people in boxes. So I try to keep an open mind and first listen very carefully. Some people indeed with ADHD, they have the desire to experience more focus, more mental clarity, less distraction. Then it could be the case that we go for psilocybin. But I also had a woman, a teacher, and with ADHD. And when I asked her what would you like to experience the most, then she told me I would like to experience more self-love. So then we went for the kapi from ayahuasca because this one is a heart opener. She wanted to connect more with her intuition. And for the ADHD part, I have another, it's not a magic mushroom, but in the effects, I consider it magic, but it's not psychoactive, and it's called lion's mane.
Yeah,
It
very,
sounds
very good.
serene.
Yeah,
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 yeah. You
familiar.
heard about lion's
Oh,
mane.
yeah,
Yeah,
oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The ACT therapy. Talk about that. I think that's so interesting that you do with the
yeah.
microdosing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I only found out about ACT when I already worked with microdosing and I have done my own personal work with psychedelics. I heard about ACT, it was during my coaching training. And everything I read about ACT, uh, it reflected a lot of principles, the things I learned with my personal work with psychedelics. So ACT stands for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, and one of the lessons of for me it was ayahuasca. I started working with ayahuasca for my own personal healing, and one of the lessons was that I needed to connect with my emotions, with my intuition, instead of trying to avoid my emotions. And this really sounds cliche, but this was one of the lessons. I was on survival mode for so many years. So I developed PTSD, depression, I had anxiety attacks, panic attacks. And this was one of the things I needed to learn to go towards the emotions. And I saw this also in ACT. It's about accepting difficult emotions, feelings, trying to welcome them, also welcome difficult thoughts, physical sensations. And with all that, trying to live a rich and meaningful life according to your values and take action upon it. So in ACT, all the well lessons from psychedelics are in it, and ACT is often used as a model for psychedelic assisted therapy. It works beautifully together because it's not only the substance, it's also what do you do with it. And if you have the whole package, then the microdosing will be more effective.
So ACT, that's a cool acronym for acceptance and commitment therapy. Can you just give like a little example of how you would apply that to a patient or a person? You know, how you would apply that in the because it sounds great, but what are you asking or telling them or sharing with them?
Yeah. Well, it's not only about talking. I don't like talking therapies in this sense because it's about experiencing. So this is how I work with ACT with exercises. An example: if somebody with anxiety or depression starts working with me, and often this is a matter of identifying yourself with your thoughts. So there's a lot of fusion with thoughts. Sometimes it's also about what I said before, allowing emotions and feelings. And if this comes up with microdosing, the microdosing can already help with being more open, even if this means for less pleasant experiences, but being more open and identifying less with emotions. So helping you with gaining a bit of distance with your thoughts. And with ACT, I try to help with the part that the microdosing is not addressing enough. So I try to seek the collaboration with the microdosing to help this client further with the themes. And I do that with mindfulness. With ACT, I also work with voice dialogue. It's also a very powerful tool. It's working with parts.
Kind of dialogue? Say it again.
It's called voice dialogue.
Give me an example of that now, because I'm not quite sure. Like, what would
Yeah.
you ask a client or patient?
What would I ask? For example, some people have a very powerful controlling part. And this is the part if you're going to microdose or use a full dose of a psychedelic, it's not the helping part. But for some people, the controlling part is very strong, and it's on the passenger or on the wheel of the bus. So it's a dominant part. And sometimes people find out, okay, this part is not helping me in daily life. And there are more suppressed parts, for example, the part that wants to trust and give up control and live more in the moment, trusting that everything will be fine. Then I start talking to those parts. And to see if we can give more space to the part that wants to live more from the heart and less from the mind.
Terry, before you ask your question, sorry, man. This is fascinating because I've had several over the last 20 years of my 40 years in practice. I've noticed a lot of patients that female, young, in their mid 20s to mid 30s with irritable bowel syndrome and their inability to have bowel movements this is absolutely wild. I mean, for up to 6 weeks to 8 weeks, they haven't moved their bowels and they're impacted. I had one beautiful young woman, young to me, I'm 65. She was in her late 20s and said that she ended up having to get surgery to remove the impacted fecal matter from the intestine. So my point in asking you, a lot of this is emotionally generated, anorexia, bulimia, anal fixation, your opportunity to hold it. That's the control you practice on yourself because nobody else can control that but you. And how would you approach somebody like that?
Yeah, beautiful. Very interesting and beautifully said. I believe that as well. So I see microdosing as a holistic tool. Sometimes people come to me with very physical symptoms, like in the case of cluster headache. I've had two clients with cluster headache, and they were on all kinds of fora on the internet reading there psilocybin can help with cluster headache. So this was the reason they came to me. But what I saw, especially in this last case, it is a woman in her 60s. This was the first time for her trying psychedelics. And she experienced a lung cluster of those headaches. So she was in a lung cluster for already half a year. So she was in a lot of pain, physical pain, but also it cost her a lot of stress dealing with those headaches. And it's called also sometimes suicide headaches because the impact can be so big. So we started working on the practical sides of the microdosing, and she started up. And I think in 2 weeks, her attacks got diminished. Also, the duration of the cluster headache attacks, and she didn't need her oxygen machine anymore. Yeah. Okay, that was already great. But then there was more space to explore what's behind those headaches. And we found out that there were several layers, and also, how do you want to call it? A spiritual one or a symbolical one? Because in the case of cluster headache, it's for a lot of people being in control. And also that the nervous system had to carry so much during a lot of time. So, and we started exploring these topics for her, these themes. And indeed, we started working on it, on calming the nervous system, and it improved even more.
I would have never thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's best? One thing I'm hearing while I'm listening to this is the first thing that comes to mind. I don't think, and you said it, I don't think doctors listen. I think we're on such a schedule of seeing so many patients in such a short amount of time, and they come in, they have an appointment for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and we try and solve their problem. We try and do whatever we can, when all maybe we need to do is listen and get past those first couple layers, because we're so trained with, even men are trained with, when our wives talk to us, we're trained to problem solve. And it's like when our wives tell us, "I just want you to listen," and so as especially men doctors, we don't listen to get even past one layer, let alone even to the layer. And one of the things you're telling me, Ben, is microdosing is a tool, but it's just a tool. It's not the solution. Sometimes the solution is listening to find out what the right tool is necessary to use. So thank you for so much for that, because I'm guilty of that. And I even thought of some patients while you're talking and going, you know what, I think I'm missing something. And it had nothing to do with being adjusted or a supplement. I think there's something deeper there. So thank you for that. One of the things I did do is I did do a little research, and I looked for the top 7 things that people search the internet for when it comes to microdosing. So I want to rattle those off to you. It's anxiety, depression, ADHD, burnout, creativity, productivity, and trauma. Of those 7, what do you think is the most misunderstood?
Oh, most misunderstood. Difficult question.
Well, I don't want to give you something easy.
Yeah.
I want to listen and get to that layer.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I would say that they are all misunderstood. And yeah. Yeah. And sometimes there's also an overlap, you cannot distinguish sometimes depression from anxiety because they are all related. And maybe this is an expression, symptoms are an expression of something wider and deeper. And I also have seen that when you start exploring themes, people come with symptoms. When they start microdosing and their lives improves, it's not anymore about the symptoms. It's not like, okay, now I healed my depression, but it's more, okay, I live more from the heart. I connect more with my emotions. Or I started playing the guitar again. I'm being more present as a father. So I don't like the angle of symptoms and putting labels, but more, what are you dealing with, and where would you like to go, in what direction, and what would it entail for you to live a rich and meaningful life? sometimes even with the symptoms.
Terry,
See, I love that. I love the answer.
Terry, I think that is so enlightening that you had looked up the more. I had no idea. See, I'm so symptom oriented. I had no idea creativity and productivity. I didn't even think, is that what, do people go to you for that? Like, I want to be more productive.
Yes, but most of my clients do have a therapeutic component in their intention, because the people that do it out of curiosity and they don't have any condition, in any mental health condition, they are, well, how do you say it in English? They're not suffering from any condition or symptoms. Then they try it by themselves. Yeah.
Right.
So, and out of curiosity, can I ask you a question, Dr. Terry and Dr. Spencer?
Go for it.
Have you tried psychedelics before?
I have not, but I'm fascinated with it.
Yeah. I have not either, but I got to tell you, 43 years ago, I was so curious. I had 3 roommates at Texas Chiropractic College. 2 of them said, would you guys, would myself and the other roommate watch us while we do mushrooms? So we went. We lost one guy. We were on the beach at night. We lost one guy. We found another guy sleeping in someone's pickup truck. Like what? It was unfortunately. And I was always so curious because those 2 guys were very bright, and I always thought that mushrooms enhanced the intelligence and the creativity.
There you
And
go.
an ability to reach deep into your mind to think things out that you wouldn't normally.
Now, I will be honest. You asked the question, have we ever intentionally tried it? So back in college, we were at a ski event with the ski club, and there was a pizza that I ate the pizza. And all of a sudden, I go out on the ski resort, and about 15 minutes later, I'm starting to ski down the result, and all of a sudden, purple trees are running across the ski resort, and all these colors got really bright, and I had to sit down, and I was freaking out. Well, it turned out some guy put psychedelic mushrooms on the pizza and didn't tell anybody. So have I tried it? Yes. Did I like it? No, because it scared the crap out of me. Did I do it voluntarily? No.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Alicia, I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I haven't tried it is because now that Terry reminded me, I am valet parking cars at a very exclusive place. A buddy of ours drives up who was off work that night. I was 18 years old, and he had a bag of brownies. And me and my appetite, man, I just wolfed them down. He goes, do you want any brownie? I go, yeah, man. So I took like 2 of them, and I go, why is it so crunchy and tastes so herbal like? And he goes, oh, there was pot in those brownies. I had never smoked weed in my entire life. So what I experienced kind of was not pleasant. It was, I went through paranoia. I went through the next stages. Everything was hilarious. I'm still parking cars, by the way, at this club. And then I became very tired. So, and hungry. So I just I wasn't too happy about all that. So that's probably why I never tried it. Oh, I just broke out in a sweat thinking about that.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm fascinated to try it somewhere down the road. And that brings me to my next question. When people have been on our show talking about everything from ibogaine, ayahuasca, and other stuff, the one theme is you have to do it the right way. You have to do the homework before. You have to do the homework afterwards. You have to do it the right way. What does doing it the right way actually mean?
Yeah, I don't like the words right or wrong, but I know what you are referring to, because you can use these psychedelics recreational. It can be fun. Only there are a few
terrifying.
things, or terrifying in your case. Yeah. And that's why you are asking, how do you do this the right way?
Correct.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for maximum chance of a pleasant experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, green
Well,
trees right in front of you is not pleasant. Or
no,
purple trees.
no, no. Well, when I started, it was also recreational, and there was no fun part for me because I was carrying a lot of trauma. But knowing what I know now, there are a few things you can do to well, if possible, make it a more pleasant experience. There are three things that are pretty decisive for how your journey goes. And I don't like the word trip. Trip is used in a more recreational setting. And I like to use the word journey, psychedelic journey. Well, there are three things you can do. Pay attention to dose, very important. Set and setting. So the dose is very personal. Some people can eat, well, 20 grams of truffles. I'm very sensitive. I only use for a full dose, I use 10 or 15 grams. But I don't want to overwhelm people. So people with a sensitive nervous system, and also people dealing with anxiety are more sensitive. So I give them a lower dose. On the other hand, I also have clients with ADHD, OCD. In general, they need higher doses. So you really need to adjust that dose. So that's one thing. It's about set. This is the whole, the mindset you are bringing into the experience. So if you're doing a full dose and you are already a little bit frightened about doing it, you are bringing anxiety, then it could be that gets enlarged during your journey. And with microdosing, it's more subtle. It's about the right setting. Well, most people start in a recreational setting, and it's not that that's wrong, but a lot of factors can influence in your experience. So if you want to do this the right way, you pay attention to setting, and it's not that you cannot do it at home, but try to do it or by yourself. Well, the first time you might want to have somebody with you, an experienced person, but make sure that you feel safe. You feel safe with the right people, maybe not listening to, that's what I did one time in the beginning. I watched MTV, and there was a song of Michael Jackson, and the word catastrophe was in it. I really felt it in my whole soul, my bones, the word catastrophe. It came in very intense. And this decided how my journey went. So you can get into anxiety. So these are the three things you need to pay attention to. And if it's new for you and you are suffering from a mental health condition or another condition, it might be a good idea to find a practitioner that can help you with those things.
If somebody wants to try it on their own and orders it, what are some of the red flags they need to pay attention to?
Red flags? You mean
Warnings.
warnings? Whether it's a good idea to do it.
Right.
By
If they
yourself.
what's some warnings that if people want to try or chase that next fix, what's some things they need to pay attention to that could be harmful?
Well, in general, there's a distinction between microdosing and the full dose. Microdosing is for most people, it's safe. And the full dose is another thing. But what are things you need to pay attention to? If you suffer from any mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, but if you had psychosis, this is not a red flag, but an orange flag. To see if it's safe for you to use it. People with bipolar disorder, people on certain medications, for example, antidepressants, and it's not like it's a red flag. Recently, we thought it was a red flag, but now there have been recent developments, and you can take psychedelics while on antidepressants. But in this case, I would recommend you to find somebody to guide you. If you are under 18, minor, because your brains are still developing. Women that are pregnant or breastfeeding, and it's not like a no-go, but you need to pay more attention to certain aspects of microdosing.
For simple-minded people such as myself, when we hear the word truffles, you mentioned truffles, but is that the same truffle that when you go to a high-end restaurant and you order truffles? It's not.
No, the taste is not so pleasant as the culinary truffles. Yeah,
Okay.
we are referring to, well, in Latin it's called sclerotia, but these are different truffles from the truffles in restaurants.
Because I'm here, you hear
Very
truffles,
bad.
and like, well, I had truffles last night with my meal. No wonder that meal was so good. so it's definitely it's a different truffle than what people are hearing. The other thing that when I was doing some research, I'm finding that very popular is athletes are microdosing to increase their performance, both their mental performance and their physical performance, and they want more output, especially with some of the sports that involve NIL money. Now these athletes are multi-million-dollar contracts. Everybody's always looking for the edge. They're not testing so much for it, so they're trying to get into a performance enhancement that won't show up in their drug testing. What's some of maybe the deeper lessons learned, and what were your thoughts on this new form of marketing and these athletes diving into something that could be potentially harmful?
I don't believe they could be harmful, but you need to know how to integrate microdosing into your life, especially if you are an athlete. So you might not want to microdose for the first time if it's new for you, because you really need to find your sweet spot. But once you are on your sweet spot, it could really help you, and not directly in the sense like there can be direct results, but science has not backed up that it can help you with endurance directly, but it also works on different layers. For example, in finding motivation, for example, or in staying grounded, and also staying focused with focus. Sometimes, because especially if these are high functioning athletes, they might be experiencing anxiety or a lot of stress. So in those terms, microdosing can help you. Some people do report that it helps them with endurance.
And on the follow up on that one, there was a very famous football player in our country. It's football, not World Cup football, but who went down to Mexico and did an ayahuasca journey for all the trauma he had from being hit so many times and all that. And he was still in his 40s and wanting to compete. Did you, after that documentary came out, did you see an uptake in your business, maybe athletes using it for trauma to stay in the game?
No, I didn't see that because I'm in Europe. But I do notice it when microdosing is in the media. Yeah, from, for example, influencers, for example, or indeed uh, I think it was Prince Harry did it. I also ayahuasca, and it helped him a lot to process the childhood trauma. Sometimes I notice it when it gets in the news, but not always.
Especially, the quarterback I'm talking about,
I do not.
Green Bay Packers.
Oh, the retired guy?
No, he's not retired. 41, still coming back.
I didn't know that. Really?
The-
The one who's with the Steelers now.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm blanking out on his name because you
They
just
did
asked me. Yeah.
they did he's worldwide known, and they did a full documentary on him going down
Rodgers.
to
Aaron
yes,
Rodgers.
Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers went down to Mexico to do these ayahuasca journeys, and that was part of his recovery to come back. And so, you know, when that documentary hit, I had athletes asking me, should I go down to Mexico? I go, well, it can't be the only country doing it. And it
Right.
became pretty popular. And so, you know, for not only recovery from all the brain trauma of the being hit so many times, but I just see such a huge market for everybody from boxers and martial artists to footballers to soccer players who are heading the ball all the time for brain recovery. Do you find that, do you, besides all the regular people suffering from anxiety and AD, do you see a lot of the trauma from concussions helping it?
Yeah. Yes. Once in a while, I have clients that have had concussions, and they really experienced difficulties with concentration. They couldn't even read a book because it was too much and tiring for them. And yeah, they started microdosing, and after a few weeks already, they started noticing improvements. They could read a book again. They could watch television again. Yeah, so it really improved the quality of life for them.
But the main thing is they have to see somebody like you to figure out what mushroom to microdose, not just
Well, yeah, in the case of a concussion or something bigger, I would recommend to find an expert on this. Yes, not do it by yourself because, yeah, your nervous system and also, yeah, on neurological perspective, it's good to let somebody help you with this because it seems like these are very tiny amounts, but it does a lot on your nervous system, but also on the whole neurological level.
Okay,
You
now
don't
you
want
got
to
me.
worsen things.
Now you got me curious. So, can somebody microdose and then go perform, or like an athlete, and go play a big game, or or participate in an event? Even really? So,
Yes, you can, but you already need to know
yeah,
your sweet spot. So this
yeah.
is very important. You really need to make sure that you have the same batch that you always have, because the most of them are natural substances.
Yeah.
So you really need to have the same concentration every time. You don't need to change things. You don't need to add supplements, for example, or herbs that also work as MAO inhibitors or work on the serotonin receptors, because then you can add up to the effects and then you can enter into a journey.
I don't know. You can imagine. I mean, somebody that has been microdosing and then goes skiing and not see purple trees, but would they be able to react? I mean, I don't know what it's like, but to react faster and be more confident in their accuracy and reaction time and
Yes.
all that.
Yes, you
Ooh,
can. If you are on
interesting.
your personal dose, and in the case of professional athletes, psilocybin, for example, is not on the list of forbidden substances, but it depends really on your local club. If there's something listed, if psilocybin is listed and also tested, so yeah, you really need to figure this out for yourself.
Whew, interesting. Very interesting. You know what? We're going to jump into the rapid fire questions at this time. There's 5 of them, Alicia, and they don't all have to do with psilocybin or microdosing, but if you're ready, these are fun questions and they require brief answers. Ready for question
Okay,
number one?
I will do my best. I will do my best to keep it brief. Yes.
You work in a world that's constantly exploring consciousness and human potential. But what's something completely ordinary in your life that instantly brings you peace and joy?
This is so ordinary. Zumba. For me, it's Zumba.
Really?
Yes.
Still Zumba. They still do that out there. Okay. In the
Yes.
Netherlands, right? Zumba.
Yes.
I
All
love
right.
Zumba.
Yeah. Have you done Zumba, Terry?
No, but I just
I,
like
I
it.
would not want to watch. I would not want to watch that. All
But I'll
right.
do it with you if you want. I'll come to Miami. I'm sure there's a Zumba class we can do together.
Only on
Well,
psilocybin. Only.
yeah. And
Sorry.
for me, this is medicine. Very grounding.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Outside of your work, what experiences in your life shaped you most into the woman you are today?
I would say my father. My father. Yeah. He
Oh,
doesn't
that's
live
nice.
anymore, but yeah. Well, it was in not such a nice way, but he really made me the woman I am, and he is the reason I'm doing this work with psychedelics.
No kidding. Oh, great. So out of something negative came something positive. Yes? Would you
Yes,
say?
it did. Yeah.
Very good. Good, good. That's a message to everyone out there listening. So, question number 3. For someone listening right now who basically feels burned out, disconnected, or stuck in the survival mode, what is one small thing that they can do starting tomorrow morning to reconnect with themselves?
I would say silence. Begin with silence to be able to really listen to that inner voice, to connect again with that, where the rest of the answers will follow from.
Question number 4, you talk about you talk a lot about intentional healing and nervous system awareness. I think that's fantastic. But what's one habit people think is helping their mindset that's actually silently possibly hurting it?
They think that it's helping them, but it hurts them. Do you refer to that practice?
Yes.
That it's
Yes.
one thing they are doing. Maybe a very modern tool, artificial intelligence, because it's that new that when something is really exciting, innovating, and it brings us a lot, but I also believe that it has a lot of downsides. Like instead of helping your brain, it is helping you because you get creative, all those ideas, but we are overdoing it a little bit.
Very good. And that's true. I think it's artificial intelligence, just like an iPhone. It's a tool that has helped, but it's also, if used in the wrong way, then it can hurt. So thank you for that. That was really good. And the last question, Alicia. Years from now, when your life is long past and the titles, followers, accomplishments, and even this conversation no longer matter, what do you hope people say you awakened them inside of them?
Beautiful question. Um, yeah, it's about living meaning, finding meaning in this temporary experience as a human being.
That's great. Alicia Vera Garcia, thank you very much for being on the show today. That was very enlightening.
Thank you. It was such an honor to be here. And yeah, I really thought it was fun.